As I was sharing with you, there are meditations and there are meditations. We have students from so many colleges. I would like you to run an experiment. Have a science and spirituality club in your colleges. This one experiment which is dear to my heart. I conducted that in 2003 at Drexel University near Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. One of our Abhyasis, Rajat Dave, he was studying there, he was from Calcutta. He arranged for Science and Spirituality Club at Drexel. And there were about 20 students participating in that program. I didn't know what to do, how to teach them such esoteric, very subtle topic. And I'm not too good at philosophy because my approach is very practical and experiential. So I told them, do some work on this topic yourself. Divide these 20 students into group of 4s or group of 5s. You find your own way of meditation. There is Vipassana, there is a Jewish tradition, Catholic tradition of meditation, there is Muraqabah in Islam. There are so many ways of meditation. You find whatever you like, you do it. If nothing else, ask your parents how to meditate. Well, anyway, they picked up certain methods and I asked them, please diligently do this morning and evening and write it down. It went on for a few weeks, one particular meditation. Then I say, exchange these meditations. Group 1 now will take up the meditation of group 2 and group 2 will take up the meditation of group 1. And like that, all these methods were compared. After the 7th week, I brought our heartfulness way of meditation. I gave it to them. I gave only the method, but I did not include the transmission. Transmission that flows from the master was not included in that method. So that was the 7th week. On 8th week, I said, now the same method of heartfulness way, but with transmission, with pranahuti. Experience that. And let us collect the results at the end of 8 weeks. Astonishingly, we found the heartfulness way of meditation with transmission surpasses all other methods. They felt more peaceful, they got more drawn within, their anxiety level reduced, their sleep was very satisfactory, dreams were less, and their focus increased tremendously. So these were the few positive results. If you have certain facilities like fMRI, or you can hook up some electrodes to measure EEGs. This is another scientific study you can get involved with. Do the EEG of people who are meditating and people who are not meditating. People who are meditating also, you can add up 7, 8 different methods. Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4. Not only what they feel, but what these electrodes would tell you. What to measure. Some of you may not be familiar with EEG. Many of you are familiar with EKG. PQRST, curves of the heart, right? You must have seen that in many movies also. Patients, tick, 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 and then it becomes flat. That is EKG. All these are indirect indicators of what is really happening inside. Just as electricity creates electromagnetic field, likewise magnet also creates electromagnetic field. What is happening in our mind when we are sitting quietly, or you are reading a nice book, or you are listening to a flute by Hari Prasad Chaurasia, and you get so much immersed? What happens to your mind at that moment? When you are fighting with someone, what happens to your mind? You are arguing with someone, what happens at the electromagnetic level in your brain? And what happens when you are meditating? What happens when you are dreaming? What happens when you are in a deep sleep state? These are all experiments we can conduct and take the measures, take the readings. Children especially, their way of thinking is very rapid. So thoughts are passing through the neurons at a very fast rate. The electrical conduction is extremely fast. And more the induction, faster, two things happens. Intensity of the wave goes up and the frequency also increases. That's called alpha wave, if I'm not mistaken. They have about 30 to 40 waves, hertz per second. Likewise, when you are in a deep sleep state where no thought process occurs, but there is still a minimal electrical conduction happening, very minimal. It will be perhaps about 3 to 4 hertz per second. But in deep sleep, you are not aware of what is happening inside. Now, when you hook up a person on these electrodes and try to measure what's really happening during meditation, and these are the actual experiments they were done in many places in the West. They had done, Harvard is famous for conducting the experiments on Vipassana meditation, mindfulness. And they had selected the Buddhist monks who, on their credit, had accumulated more than 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 hours of meditation. That means they are seasoned meditators. And when they were put through these EEG measurements, they could see that in few minutes they were able to quieten their minds. So I also decided, let us do this. So at Dayton, one of our cardiologists and pulmonologists, they came together and said, okay, let us measure not only seasoned or a long time meditators, but also persons who have just taken the first meditation session under heartfulness with transmission. And we had also divided the group, meditation with transmission, meditation, same method but without transmission. So my pharmacy exposure became very handy in scientific research, because in pharmacy, how do you do the research on new molecules, new medicine? Suppose you synthesized a new molecule for pain. Okay. How to compare it? How to market it in the marketplace and say this is a better molecule than Motrin or ibuprofen or Tylenol or paracetamol. If they are better than the existing molecules with lesser side effects, you hit a jackpot. So we compare with existing molecules as well as with placebo. If the results are better than the previous two, It's excellent research. You have found a good cure for pain. So that principle we applied, whether this transmission is a hoax or is it a make-believe thing, or there is some substance behind it, there is some sort of a quality that can change our consciousness. So we did that. And we found, to my amazement, that even a person taking the first sitting, first meditation session, was able to arrive at a delta state of waves. You know, delta state is almost akin to your sleep state, deep sleep state. So it was a profound result for us, with one difference though. In sleep you are not aware, but in deep meditation there is some level of awareness. For example, if there is a bird chirping or a dog barking or somebody nearby you is sneezing or coughing, you'll notice all that. And this in Shastras is called Turiya state, fourth level of consciousness. To arrive at a Turiya state of consciousness, our rishis used to meditate for few years together, but with heartfulness. You arrive at that state very, very early in your practice. So this is the scientific basis of heartfulness way of meditation. I like you all to explore this. But if you think this meditation is pain in the butt and it is unnecessary for you, then it will fail you. You must have a right attitude. And I often compare this with our love relationship. I would share a story of my friend. He fell in love with a girl. The girl was not so much responsive. I told him, why don't you invite her for a movie? I mean, I'm talking of 70s. That was the tradition. You fall in love with someone, invite her for a movie, see. So it was arranged. I convinced our classmate, please don't disappoint him. Just for fun you go. We'll see later on what happens. So she agreed, obliged. See, you know, the movies, you'd start like this, 12 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12, like that. So he chose the movie 3 to 6. And he was there from 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. And she came exactly sharp at 3 o'clock. He kept on, complaining afterward. I thought my world has ended. She promised me she would come, but she did not come for hours. I mean, it looked like life waiting for me. I said, that is called love. See? Where time expands in waiting, you become so restless. That is longing. Whether it succeeds or not, it's a different story. But unless and until you have such a longing, even for material thing, you cannot succeed. Even in romance, if you don't have the longing, it will not succeed. In spirituality, you are dealing with God. You cannot play hide and seek. You have to be authentic. You have to be sincere. And longing, you just cannot fake it. You can fake, you can cheat on your girlfriend. But with God, you just cannot cheat him. Nor can you play faking games. You will have to be sincere. Longing will have to be sincere. So here, what I used to do. Before I go to sleep, I would pray to God, God, I don't even know you. How am I going to fall in love with you? I don't know you. Accept that fact first. My mother says, my father says, my guru also says God is there, but I really don't know you. I like to believe that you are there. That sort of longing was there, a bit of longing, inquisitiveness. And I say, soon as I get up in the morning, I would meditate, invite you in my heart. But all my night, I prepare myself, clean myself, pray like hell. If I have committed any mistakes during daytime, I scan through. Where did I go wrong? And I promise myself, I will not do this again. That's all. There is a simple promise that we have to keep giving to ourselves every day. You can make mistakes day after day, doesn't matter, but don't repeat them. Unless we make mistakes, we will not learn. And persons who meditate, I think they rarely commit mistakes because they scan through the activities before it happens. You are able to see the results of your future actions in your mind through meditation. So you rarely make mistakes actually. They are reduced as we meditate more and more. And finally, in order to encourage you all to meditate more, I shared with you something very profound. My classmates, then in pharmacy college, there were few of us who would meditate, but not many. If you see their children today, the success of my friends who meditated day and night with us, their lifestyle, if you observe today, versus those who did not take up meditation. Those who did not take up meditation, their lifestyle is different. Their children and grandchildren have a different quality. Because meditative mind has a different level of consciousness. As I said, unless you have it from very early, from this age onward, you will not be able to fake and cheat God at the moment of conception. God, I love you. Let me have Arjuna in my family. Let me have Vivekananda in my family. It's not going to happen. Great saints, great souls are waiting for pure and noble womb, noble parentage. Prepare yourself. Let's prepare the army of saints, cartel of saints, if you like to call that. But for that, you'll have to work very hard with the right attitude. Not that something is thrusted upon you. Just as preparing ourselves before meditation, cultivating this longing, what is also important is what we do after meditation. Very simple example my Guruji gave me, that when you lay a concrete on the road, and if you start using this concrete before it is seasoned, like sometimes you will see some dogs walking on this fresh concrete, you will see the footprints. In front of the bookstore also you will see ladies' chappals, footprints. I wonder why that lady did not see, but you can see how careless our sisters can be sometimes. They just walked into the concrete. And we still have those imprints. Fresh concrete has to be allowed to be seasoned, to be congealed, to be solidified before we can use it. Why am I sharing this example from my Guruji? He says, meditative state is far more refined and far more subtle then concrete. It is like holding air in your fist. It is as difficult as that. But in your heart, try to hold on to that state as long as you can. After meditation, try to be one with it. Try to have osmosis with your inner state. Resonate with it. Try to hold on to that state. And when you have complete grip on that state in your mind, you get up. This takes hardly 5-6 minutes. You have meditated for half hour. It's good to invest 3-4 minutes towards this settling of spiritual state in your heart. Hold on to that. And when you are interacting during daytime, hold on to that state also. So that state gets, I think, first priority in our life. And you are able to hold on to that state for a longer time. Next day when you meditate, you will have a different state, and a different state, and a different state. So consciousness continuously keep on changing. It begins to evolve. Thank you for your kind listening. So I'm sorry I did not take up our main topic, kindness. But the roots of kindness are in the hearts which are silent and full of reverence.